Next, I told her I was going to say this ahead of time. So our next guest, I'm sure if you've ever seen a demo from anybody in a blue shirt, you've heard about the third-party Rice independent study that was able to speed operator competency by 65%, reduce SME oversight by... Everybody's heard that, right? I'm sure at this point. Well, guess what? The lady who put that study together is our next speaker today. So if you have any questions about that study that was done independently, please welcome Tarah Schneberger. Let me give you your bio, Tarah. Hold on one sec. Then we can find it. All right. So, Tarah Schneberger, Global Technical Learning Solutions Manager for LyondellBasell. She's focus areas are organizational capabilities, operational excellence, digital transformation, and knowledge transfer. Previous roles, leadership positions at Prolitex, Chevron, Phillips. We read this already, didn't we? Yeah. That's all. I'm going to keep going. Led maintenance and operations training teams at CP Chem. She played a key role in implementing knowledge transfer strategies and advancing operational discipline. Education, master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Oklahoma. Tarah, come on up. Hello. Hello.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. How are y'all doing? I see some nods. I don't know if it's because we're passing out after lunch or we're actually excited, but I'm excited to talk to y'all this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to be talking about operational discipline fundamentals through a series called Back to Basics campaign. So I hope y'all are ready. All right, let's talk through our agenda. So corporate comms is making me do a little company spiel. So I'm going to go through that first. It should take a few seconds. And then I'll dive right into the good stuff. I'll talk about workforce capability gap assessment. And then I'll talk through our Back to Basics series, what it looked like, how we deployed it, feedback from operations, and then wrap up. All right, so a little bit about LyondellBasell. We employ over 20,000 employees globally and are one of the world's largest producers of polyethylene, polypropylene, and other polyolefin equipment. We believe in a circular and low carbon economy, and we have a broad variety of products, whether it's automotive, whether it's food quality, clean water, and medical quality supplies. How did I do, folks? Thank you. All right, let's jump to the good stuff, the juicy. All right, let's talk about our workforce demographics. So as many of us in the room know, we are challenged with safe and reliable operations every day, and it's only compounded with the shifting workforce landscape that we're seeing. And I know that sounds like a broken record, but that really is kind of the theme of a skills gap conference, right? And so we are seeing less and less mechanical aptitude for operations, maintenance, and engineering workforce. This we know, we live through. And compounded with that, we've got 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day that were once our coaches, our mentors, our go-to guys and gals who we no longer can rely on. And so on top of that, we're seeing a shift in how we are delivering training. We're going to the in-field on demand, with less focus on the traditional classroom. On top of that all, we've got low overall experience due to high turnover, which really puts additional stress and rigor around operational discipline. So I'm going to talk about how we were able to supplement this loss of knowledge. So what is Back to Basics? So Back to Basics is really centered around 6 operational discipline micro-learnings or modules. So these range from shift handover, these for operating logs, daily instructions, and abnormal situations. And you may be wondering, where did these come from? What's kind of the genesis of these topics? And the reality is when we talked with our operations leaders, there was feedback that, hey, site to site, something that we thought was so basic maybe isn't so basic. So there's this theme from this morning, right? Is common sense maybe not so common? So we're seeing that same type of undercurrent. And furthermore, it wasn't just site to site, it was even shift to shift. The three-way communication, the turnover, all of that had so much variability. And as everybody in this room knows, these can make or break not only your shift, but can make or break your week if things aren't locked out on nights or if there's misinterpretation between shifts, a lot can happen within these 6 fundamentals. So what did we do? We put together something called a micro-learning. And really what micro-learning is, it's built on adult learning theory of how people process and digest information. And so what that does is it takes information and it modularizes it into concise segments that are palatable, that you can digest, absorb quickly. Think of the YouTube shorts, the TikToks when it's not banned. Think about those when that's how people absorb information today. It's on demand. It's as needed, right? It's in the field. And so we worked on putting together these micro-learnings, and we did it in a blended learning format. So we did e-learnings, we did job aids, as well as short videos. And what was nice about that is because it allowed for the tabletop exercises that could be done on shift. It could also be done through our learning management system. And so from there, you had increased accessibility and scalability. So let's talk about deployment. Once the micro-learnings were created, we deployed to over 17 manufacturing and our advanced polymer solution sites. We had such great success, we scaled that over to our Europe base. So we rolled out the micro-learnings to 5 additional European sites and 3 translated languages. And then from there, in order to institutionalize the process, we baked it into our onboarding and training plans so that right from the day that they step foot, this is incorporated into their learning journey. We had such great success and feedback from our manufacturing base that they're now looking for part 2, building on these fundamentals and adding an additional level of advance. So here's a quote from one of our operations managers at Corpus Christi. She says she uses these micro-learnings as engagement moments with her team, and she level sets that as here's what a base expectation looks like so that it standardizes how to do it right every time. And that's really what operational discipline is. It's standardizing it and holding each other accountable on whose roles and responsibilities are for executing tasks. So in closing, as leaders in this room, we are challenged to think creatively on how we navigate being able to bridge humans and manufacturing together in new and dynamic ways, especially with their shifting workforce landscape. Digital technology provides a new opportunity for us to not only build organizational capabilities, but add additional rigor to our operational discipline. That's all I got. Questions, comments, thoughts? All in-house. So his question was, did we use a third party to facilitate the filming, the pictures, the e-learnings? We did everything in-house. We used a program called Articulate Rise 360, which should be pretty common to basically put together the one-pagers, the learnings, and then deploy that through a learning management system. So we have a videographer and then our LMS admin. So I would say that was probably a core team of about 5 people. Some of them are in the room who are going to present next. So I'm priming the room for them. But yes, it was about 5 people, but not full time within my team, the Global Learning Solutions team. So the deployment timeline, from the time that we met with the operations leadership, we were tasked with rolling this out. I think it was before June, but we ended up meeting in April. This is last year. So it was literally 4 to 5 months. So from a cost perspective, from a resource, we didn't need third party. It was very, very doable. So the question was if this was a voluntary thing for the operators to go through or if it was part of broader. It was a mix. We left the sites the liberty to how they wanted to deploy it. Where we saw the most bang for our buck is with micro-learnings complementing existing training programs and campaigns. So as we rolled out human and organizational performance, talking about performance modes, communication, this was a perfect supplement to that. And we actually saw a lot of great momentum when we complemented that.
Had two things. First, you said that this established the base expectation. But then on one of the last slides, you said this was demonstrated what good look like. Which was it? Was it base or was it, hey, this is what you're aiming for?
We have policies for all of these fundamentals. This is the policy meeting the expectation of the policy in terms of standardizing. That was the intent. As we build out part 2, here's what great looks like. So then we'll be adding additional level of complexity. But we don't want to go from kindergarten all the way to high school. We need to read in between hand. And so it was building up that level of complexity to make it more palatable for the organization. Great question. How long are micro-learnings? So typically they can range from 60 seconds up to about 2 to 3 minutes. If you go past 2 to 3 minutes from an attention span and a biggest bang for your buck for micro-learnings, you're seeing a decrease. So no more than 3 minutes.
Were even those 2 or 3 minutes broken into segments so they could be easily updated, or were they one?
They were one long, but they were modularized in the sense that it was covering independent topics within it. So if we needed to go in and update, we could chop it out pretty easily. Good questions. Thank y'all.